And returning now to one of our top stories, the crisis in Ukraine. Today we've seen warning shots fired at European monitors trying to enter Crimea, and diplomatic efforts by President Obama reaching out to European allies. Joining us now to discuss this is Olena Nikolayenko. She's a professor of political science at Fordham University, specializing in Eastern Europe and the former Soviet Union. Professor, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Okay, I first want to talk about these firing shots at the European monitors. 3 days in a row this has happened. This seems to be an easy thing that Russia could allow that might please of Western powers. So why have the pro-Russian forces not allowed it?
Well, I think that they really want to make sure that the world just gets one point of view from the Crimea, and they might be concerned that when the observers arrive, they would realize and would reveal to the rest of the world what the real situation on the ground is. Because by and large, the Russian government still denies the magnitude of Russian presence, Russian military presence on the peninsula.
But across much of the West, it seems like we're getting a pretty good idea that indeed Russian forces are in control and in an absolute control, it looks like, of much of Crimea. So why continue to hang on to that narrative if a lot of people, including Western leaders, aren't buying it?
Well, yeah, it's very difficult to explain, but maybe to some extent it justifies the upcoming referendum in the Crimea, because they don't want the outsiders, the Western world, to see it as something imposed by Russia. They want to see it as sort of like a grassroots initiative. And if they record the exact number of Russian troops on the ground, then it would become more problematic.
But how much of it is a grassroots initiative? Since Crimea has a lot of people that align with Russia, they speak Russian. So is there not something there that perhaps the people of Crimea really do want to separate from Ukraine?
Well, certainly there is a large percentage of the residents of the Crimea who want to join, who want to live in Russia and who want the peninsula to be a part of Russia. But at the same time, this referendum is going to be held in violation of the Ukrainian constitution and in defiance of a substantial minority of the peninsula residents, the Crimean Tatars, who certainly oppose it.
But if the people vote to separate from Ukraine, and if it's a majority of the people, and if the elections are free and fair, I know it's a lot of ifs, but why would the West have an issue with that, since it seems to be the people of Crimea voicing and doing what they want to do?
Well, according to the Ukrainian constitution, the national referendum should be held to determine if a certain region secedes from the country. So it's illegal according to the Ukrainian law.
But isn't it also illegal to throw out the president?
Well,
from a protest movement, which is what Russia is saying. Russia is saying this is ridiculous, that this was an elected president thrown out by street protest.
Well, he faced a vote of no confidence in the national parliament. So I think that, of course, the protesters pushed for this move, but the national parliament followed certain legal procedures. And, you know, there are a lot of Western powers, and even China, who does, and Russia itself does not allow its own citizens to follow the same procedure, because otherwise the Chechen Republic would have been independent a long time ago.
Which is why it's such a sticky issue for Russia to encourage Crimea to vote when it does not encourage some of its own territories to do the same. Oh, thank you. Olena Nikolayenko with Fordham University, thank you for your insight today.
Thank you for having me.